Welcome to the NWI.com Political Roundtable for Thursday, November 11th. I'm Robert Blaszkiewicz, Assistant Managing Editor for The Times, here with Doug Ross, Editorial Page Editor of The Times, and we're going to bring you the week's political highlights. Let's start off with the ongoing saga, something we've talked about in past weeks, of Carol Ann Seaton.
Boy, continuing topic. The latest has been the effort to throw her off what's colloquially known as PTABOA,
Right.
which is a real tongue twister if I ever heard one, but it's the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals.
Very good.
A county group. Yeah, I scored points for that one.
Right.
So the idea is that Tom O'Donnell was pushing this. Tom O'Donnell being a lame duck, he lost in the election last week.
The Lake County Council member,
Right,
Republican.
exactly. Council president,
Council
in fact,
president.
now. And so his idea is that with all of the controversy surrounding her own property tax assessment, or that of the house she's living in, I should say, there's the question of, does she really belong on the board that evaluates all those assessments?
And all these issues, of course, emerged when she became a candidate for Lake County assessor.
Right.
And won the Democratic nomination unexpectedly, but then we heard all these issues came up, and there's still questions that really haven't been answered, and leading to the questioning of whether she's fit to serve on the board that she did serve on, PTABOA.
Right, and so there's the question, do you wait to find, what the outcome of this is, or do you just say, look, all the accusations are bad enough, she's tainted, let's move on with somebody else.
Right. Yeah, it's difficult, and you would have hoped that this would have been answered prior to the election. It wasn't, so we're still left.
Well, it's politically safer to answer it now.
Right. Sure, but yet it still hasn't been. So.
Right.
Moving on to another issue in Lake County, another issue involving the Lake County Council. There's been kind of a showdown this week between outgoing Sheriff Roy Dominguez and the council.
Right. I actually talked at length with Sheriff Dominguez about this yesterday, Wednesday, and I can tell you he's pretty incensed about it. The idea that the FOP has offered to make concessions and actually outlined a number of them that would include 12 furlough days over the course of the year, and charging officers, I think it was $25 a week if I remember, charging the officers for use of their take-home cars, which has never been done before, so, or at least not in Lake County.
And this is all to save the jobs of 12
jobs.
officers.
Right.
Who basically the council has, in its budget-cutting efforts, has proposed cutting 12 officers.
Right, and those are actual officers. They're also freezing, basically not filling some vacant positions and so forth. But those are actually people that on December 5th, they turn in their badge, the gun, the keys to their car, and all of that, and say goodbye to the department.
Right. So, and it's interesting because you have an outgoing sheriff fighting to preserve these jobs. We haven't heard. Have we heard much from the incoming sheriff, John Bunsich, on this issue?
Well, not on this. Although we did talk to him before the election. Talked to him for more than an hour during that conversation, and the idea of budget cutting came up, and he said before he would cut officers, he would institute furloughs. He would do everything he could do to try to preserve jobs. So we already know how he feels.
Right. Let's move on to the state and looking forward. We just finished one election, but there's already talk starting over 2012 and what will come then. Particularly with Senator Richard Lugar, the longtime one of the longest-serving senators. I think he's the longest. He's the longest-serving senator right now
in Indiana history.
In Indiana.
But also he's one of the longest in U.S. history.
Right. So he didn't face much of a challenge in 2006. The Democrats didn't even run anyone against Senator Lugar. But in 2012, there's already talk of a primary challenge by fellow Republicans.
Right, and that's, I think, where his biggest danger lies, because of the Tea Party kind of pulling doing two things. One, trying to pull the party more to the right, and Lugar has a history of compromise on certain things. So there's the question: do we really want somebody in there who compromises? And that's what the Tea Party people are upset about. Plus the fact, like you said, he's one of the longest-serving senators ever. So
Right.
they're targeting incumbents.
Right, and one of those people targeting him sounds like it's Richard Murdoch, who just won re-election as the state's treasurer.
Right, and he got more than 1 million votes this year,
Right.
which is I'm not sure if that makes him the top vote getter in the state, but certainly one of the top vote getters
Right.
if he isn't.
It was,
That's
of course,
impressive.
it's impressive, but it was a very attractive year to be running as a Republican in the state.
Right.
Republicans basically swept statewide office easily. I think as long as you had an R next to your name and some measure of competency, you were basically a shoo-in
Right.
this year.
But look at 2006, and you'd have to look at the turnout too,
Mhm.
and all these many other factors. But Lugar, if I remember right, got 1,171,000 and change votes. So, I mean, and that was with no Democratic opponent.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
And Murdoch is somewhat of a darling on these far right conservatives because of what he's done in terms of his opposition to the Chrysler bailout and other things.
Well, and that's interesting. He fought the Chrysler bailout, the merger with Fiat. It was kind of a prepackaged bankruptcy deal, really, brought by the Obama administration, and the opposition to that said, if you do this, you could end up costing, tens of thousands of jobs all across Indiana. Well, in Howard County, which is like the heart of Chrysler territory here in Indiana, Murdoch carried the county.
Mm-hmm.
So, in spite of the
Yeah.
Chrysler thing.
Yeah, Senator Lugar, he'll be 80, I believe, when
80.
2012 rolls
Right.
around. So old, but he doesn't seem to be slowing down. He's in actually currently, as we're taping this, he's in Africa, touring countries there, looking at possible threats, disease threats. He's well known for his work on controlling loose nukes. He's one of, in terms of foreign policy, I don't know of many senators that are more well respected than Richard Lugar.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's a guy. I would not be surprised if Hillary Clinton were to change jobs. I would not be surprised if he would become Secretary of State. He's eminently qualified.
Yes. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up, and hard to believe. I mean, we just got done with one election, and hard to believe we're already going to be talking about the next
Well.
one. We're already going to be talking about the next one, but that's the way things go, and we're going to keep talking about it as we bring you future political roundtables. So thank you for watching this week, and make sure you come back to NWI.com for all the breaking political news.
Thank you.